Welcome back for turn 4 of this Fields of Fire teach and play. Thanks for coming back, and we'll jump right back into the action.
Is the tabletop simulator module you're using yours or
No.
out there?
No, it's by a guy named Karate Snoopy. We've done
Okay.
a couple of like really good ones, including this one. So I had a chance to check something, by the way, and it turns out that the Germans are not so nice, and so these guys would have actually opened up fire.
Well, maybe we should go back and do that.
Well, I figure let's move on. We'll recognize that it
Okay.
happened, but the truth is it would have turned out as badly for him as for us, right? Because the volume of fire is on the card.
Right.
So while we could go back and do it, it's probably a little bit rough. And this is just a teaching game anyway. So, so basically what that means is that we end up with an automatic fire VOF, and we've got a crossfire because we've now got PDFs coming from 2 different locations.
Okay. Well, isn't that just a bummer?
Yeah, that card now got very inhospitable. The other thing is, while I was waiting, I was looking at this, and I wanted to kind of point out, because this is one of the places that I think this game really shines, is it puts you in some really interesting tactical situations as the board develops. So, one thing to notice is that, right, from this card here, we've got, line of sight to here. So we're going to probably want to get like our heavy machine gun or our forward observer up there, right? We don't really have line of sight to this card, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Now, interestingly, but one of the things is that this entire row, like these guys are all going to be firing across this entire row. But this bunker only fires forward. So to some degree, what we can do is if we can move this guy out, we can just sidestep that bunker, and he'll basically be out of the game, because since he only fires forward, he won't fire across this entire row. Right. But we also do have, just to note, we do have a line of sight to that bunker from here. So if we wanted to do something about it, that would be a good place to do it from. So
what will we do that with? Do we have a
weapon
that can?
Probably that would be our artillery.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's really two from what I found, there's 2 main things to do about bunkers. One is artillery, the other is grenades.
Okay.
And we'll sort of see how things develop, and maybe we'll go there. But anyway, I was just looking at it, and I was realizing that there's kind of like an interesting situation developing. Now, I think it would have almost been more interesting if this wasn't a bunker, because then even if we sidestep this guy, that heavy machine gun would have had line of sight all the way through here, which would have been really, really fascinating. So
well, and here.
Yeah, and all the way along there. Now, what's interesting is that does offer a little bit of an interesting kind of gamey possibility, which is if we could have gotten one of our units here and gotten him firing, like he would have fired all the way across this row, which would have had 2 effects. It would have, first of all, it would have hit his own guys. But the other thing is when they fire through like that, it takes the potential contact markers off the board. So one interesting tactic in the game is to try to look for these long lines of sight and get them firing along them to clear some potential contact markers out of them. So one thing, just the other thing is that I've switched this to heavily engaged now, because we have 2 friendly. We're engaged. We've got 2 friendly occupied cards that are under VOF, and we share a card with an enemy unit in one particular case. So we are heavily engaged now.
Okay.
Make sense?
That makes sense.
All right. So what do we start off with? You know this by now.
We gotta get the headquarters.
Yeah.
Action.
We just blew them off last time. We didn't even bother trying to establish communications. No. All right. So then we're going to activate the CO.
Yep. Now, the whole deck we're not.
All right, that's good.
4, so 3.
3, exactly. Now, since we're getting a little bit further into the game, I will point out like we had originally talked about, like lines of communication, right?
Yeah.
So looking at this, we still have lines of communication to all of our platoons because there's like a notional network that runs through the entire staging area and into these cards. Right? It's really when the platoons start moving up into row 2 that you have to worry about like maintaining communication with them. So probably our best, so first thing, our best option is probably to activate all of them. But one thing I think we do want to do is we do want to make sure that our first sergeant has some commands this turn, because we want to, I think, move into this card and begin laying down some fire all the way across the map onto here. Right?
With the artillery?
Well, we could do that with the artillery. We could do it with the mortars. We could even do it with the. I was just thinking about the 50 caliber machine gun.
Okay, you had pointed at the FO, so I thought I was trying to figure out
Yeah.
why we would want to do that.
Yeah.
For that.
Now, the other thing we can do that actually might be pretty smart would actually be potentially to move the artillery FO here and start trying to lay down fire here. Because if you remember, if we can get those incoming fire markers in there, it'll block line of sight out. So that heavy machine gun will stop firing if we do that.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
So anyway, so one possible thing is if there is a platoon that we think we can get away with not activating, we could also activate our first sergeant so that we can move a bunch of these guys around and make some stuff happen. So what's your gut? What's your gut on this? We also, by the way, have all these guys up here unspotted, so we're gonna have to start doing some spotting too.
Yeah. Well, I trying to see where we spot to. I mean, this guy's in some serious trouble up here now.
Yeah, he's definitely. Well, I mean, the good news is he's undercover, and he's getting +2 from the card. So with the exposed marker gone, he's not in the worst shape anymore.
Right.
But one of the ways we could help him certainly is if we got a platoon up into here and did some spotting. We could start engaging with this contact, which would take the automatic fire out. So I think. I'm thinking maybe now that we've done some clearing.
Normally, I would have said, why would we want to go into the marsh? But one of the things is if they're laying down fire here, they're not going to shift fire once they start firing.
Not unless something happens. Basically, unless they get an order to shift fire somehow, they won't do it. So
there's an opportunity to do something like go into a more open hex.
Yes. I mean, I'm going to say that this might be a good time to go into the open fields as well, because
other than the potential contact.
Yeah, but because we're heavily engaged, if we stay heavily engaged, then we're drawing fewer cards.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking moving the second platoon here and doing some spotting is a good idea. So I think we should definitely activate second, and that gets him back into his lane as well when we had sidestepped it. So I'm thinking. We definitely activate the second platoon.
Want me to pull for him?
Actually, I was going to say, let's figure out who we're going to activate. And then I'm thinking we should activate the first platoon to move him here. And then the first sergeant so we can do first sergeant-y things.
That works for me.
And then we'll just, the third platoon will just get by on whatever he does. So, let's see.
So first platoon?
So draw for first platoon and we'll go from there.
3 minus 1.
Minus 1. So first platoon gets 2.
Second platoon.
Yeah, second platoon. He gets 1. Yeah, he's got some save though. This is going to be a good term to use saved ones. Sergeant. He gets 2 and he gets to keep all 2.
So we're pretty weak.
All right. So should we? So let's start with first platoon.
So that is done with the CO.
Yes, the CO is done. Yes, he used all of his. So what I'm thinking for the
first platoon, you're thinking go up into this section.
I'm thinking we should seek cover because I'm hoping that we can find cover that the machine gun, for example, can move forward
Right.
into. But then we
And
also send what do we got here? We send we probably send this platoon, the third squad. We send it forward. And if we wanted to, we could also try to rally this paralyzed dude.
Yeah. So how many do we have again?
First platoon. That's first platoon.
Yeah.
They have. I think they have.
3
I think they
plus
have
2.
5. They have 5.
Yeah.
First platoon has 5, so we got a lot we can do with him.
Yeah. So step 1, see if we can get cover.
Step 1, see if we can get cover. So we're drawing 4. Yeah, there you go. All right. So draw all of those to get the deck math right.
That will cover.
Yep. So now, when you draw for cover in these urban spaces, then you have to do one more draw over here to decide whether you just find regular cover or you actually find a building. So draw a 1, 2, or 3 on the 5. There you go.
A 1.
Brilliant. Okay. So we are going to grab.
Now, where I would go, one of my questions is, well, he really can't. Yeah, you could get the artillery FO, one of the FOs, up into that upper story, right? And they could see.
Yeah. I mean, keep in mind, I think they can see anyway because this village is on a hill, so they can see this anyway. In fact, even if it wasn't on a hill, they could see, but they can see all the way to here, even just
Even
from
on
the
the hill?
village. Yeah, even from the village.
Oh yeah.
But we're putting them in the upper story because narratively it's cooler. So now, one thing about this, though, just to note, is what we're going to actually do is we're going to. Oh, interesting. So one question we have here is, okay, sorry. Let me explain what I'm stumbling over right now is we got to figure out who did this search thing, and the reason is if we did it with the third squad, then he's in cover and we're no longer with him, so we can't issue him commands anymore. So what I'm hoping is we could use one of these limited action teams to do it, but I'm going to pause for a second while I figure that out.
All right.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
No, total sense.
Okay, so sorry. So now I found what I want. So what it says here is units that are not pinned and not limited action team units are considered to be in good order. And so what that means is that the weapons teams, they're not actually limited action teams. Limited action teams are like, litter teams and things of that nature, fire teams. So that means what we're going to do, the reason that matters is that we're then going to use, we'll send this weapons team into that strong building.
Yeah.
Which will,
Obviously, in theory, we had to have figured that out ourselves.
we should have done that ahead of time.
Yeah.
It only occurred to me afterwards, and he does because he's getting an exposed marker because he moves into cover. So that's
You get exposed moving into cover?
Yep,
Just any movement.
just any movement. So there is an infiltrate option. So if a card is under a volume of fire, you can infiltrate, which is trying to move whether between cover or not without that. But we haven't gotten to the point where that matters yet.
Yep.
So first platoon has spent 1. So with this
Now we're gonna-
second one, I think we send that squad forward to this open field.
Entire squad, or are we better off splitting it up and sending a bit of it?
I think we send the entire squad
All right.
because otherwise it's going to take an order. It'll take 2 orders to do it.
Yeah.
And we still have some other things we want to do. So that's all of our allocated commands. So we got 3 saved commands. So I think with our 3 saved commands, one thing we should try to do is to try to rally this paralyzed team. Don't you?
Yep. So how many cards do you pull for a rally?
Good question. I think we're going to end up, let's see,
I assume that's on the
attempt to
temp.
convert a paralyzed team to draw two action cards and check for the text saying rally.
What does the 2 plus minus mean?
So 2 plus minus means that there's some modifiers to it.
Modifier somewhere. That's what I figured.
Yeah, so I don't, we got to try to figure out what exactly those are. So if you look here, it says up at the top, the number of cards drawn is modified by +1 for veteran and -1 for green.
Okay.
Based on the recipient experience for movement and combat and originator experience for rally. So
Got it.
we're the originator, so we're only drawing one card to try to rally this
whole
guy.
card. All right. Well, what are the odds?
The odds are not great,
Good.
but it
But
worked.
good.
Yes. So we take
This
that
goes from paralyzed to litter.
to litter. So we're gonna grab a litter team over here. So just clone that.
Did you get it?
I didn't get it. I was you seemed like you were over there, so I was gonna leave you to do it.
Oh, you need to promote me.
Oh. Shoot. There you go.
All right.
All right, so now he's a litter team. So that's not bad. That's not terrible. One thing we can think about doing is if we can get some commands, we can move this guy over,
That's what I was wondering about. If
and
with the,
then we can merge them once we get them
in
back
the
to him.
general. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that was using our one of our saved commands, our third command, and I don't know that we want to do anything else at this point, do we?
I can't think of anything else.
Yeah. So let's.
We got to find out what that is.
Yes.
And
That's-
until then,
That's his.
I
That's
don't
his job.
oh,
So
yes,
then,
I wish he had cover.
yeah.
He might.
So then I think, what was the other one we activated? The second platoon? So I think we'll have the second platoon
He
send,
gets a whole action.
similarly, we'll have him send this guy there.
Yep.
So this is good, right? Because
For
this
him.
guy's going to open up here, right? So that's it for, yeah, that's it for him. Well, he's got saved commands, but I don't think we want
He
to,
does.
I don't think we want to do anything with those saved commands. I think we just consider him done. And then the first sergeant, I think, is going to do a little bit of like, so he's going to do a couple of fancy things. So,
So,
Oh.
real quick question. Even if like a platoon leader has saved commands, he still has to be activated to use those saved commands, right?
no, he can use
You
them.
could use them right now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, you're right. Yeah, in his initiative, he can still use his save commands.
Got it.
Yep. So now we've got the first sergeant activated.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking we do with the first sergeant, first thing is I think we move the heavy machine gun up into this upper story.
He can just tell him to go do that.
He basically just tells him to go do that, right?
Okay.
He sends him out on his own. Now, the disadvantage of this, just so you know, is that he's going to open fire and there's nobody there to tell him to stop. So we can run out of ammo quickly, but
Got it.
we can probably get the first sergeant forward later to make him stop. Then I think with his second action, how many more actions does he have?
Did he have two?
He has one, so he has 4 left. So
He picked up two, right? So did you want to get the forward observer up here?
yes. Now just a couple of things to think about here. We can't put this mortar squad you can't put it in orchards, groves, woods, or buildings, obviously, right?
Yep.
So one of the questions becomes where do we want to move everybody? We could just move the artillery forward observer by himself, but then we're relying on like general actions to activate him.
Right.
But I actually think there's a way around that. So let's keep this simple. We're going to move the artillery forward observer in here. Now he's exposed. I'm just going to leave him here. He's actually technically under that cover. but I'm just going to
Okay.
leave him here to distinguish him from the guys that are there that aren't undercover. And then that's the end of his like activations, but now we can decide whether we want to use any saved activations. And I'm thinking one of the things we could do is we could move him and the mortar squad and all these guys, we could move them all into the village.
And how many actions does that take for him to move multiple? Instead of
3.
just to
Takes him
move plural?
3 because it's not a platoon.
Literally one for each.
One at a time, yeah. But I think it's not a bad thing to do because getting the mortar up there and the mortar observer is going to have like really good lines of sight here.
Nope, I agree.
So
I'll get 'em all.
so to get this done correctly, we're going to send the mortar forward, and it's not going to go into cover, right? Because we can't put it in a building. But then the first sergeant and the mortar observer, we're actually going to. Actually, we probably
Should they just go here?
No, I think we can I'm going to put them up with I'm going to put them up here with the
Upper. Okay.
with the machine gun so that he can actually hopefully he can control the machine gun.
Got it.
That's what
Oh,
I'm
that's
thinking.
right.
Right. Because one of
The
the
upper
things,
story is
yeah.
considered cover as well.
because the mortar, one of the things we can do, the mortar spotter can call stuff in. That the mortars will,
Yep.
will go. Okay, so that's the sergeant, but he has now used every single one of his commands, including his save commands. So now we've got the XO and the third. So the third platoon needs to draw a general. Two. That's not terrible. But the question is, what do we want to do with the third platoon? I'm not sure we really want to do, because I don't want to move them into that card. You know?
Nope.
So I'm thinking maybe we're going to waste a command and we'll save one and we'll waste one. Because I can't think of anything better to do with it. Oh, why don't we look for cover?
Yeah.
And we'll say we're going to do it with that half squad, the reduced squad. He's going to look for cover in the village. This village is hard to find cover in, apparently.
Almost impossible.
All right, so that
Right.
so now
And then you're gonna save one.
yeah, so we're gonna use that, and then we'll save one. So he's up to 3 now. Now the XO has 3 save commands, and he gets one. Here's what I'm thinking we do with the XO is we move the XO up to the orchard, where he can try to rally this paralyzed unit,
Okay.
and he could try to reform this squad.
Yeah.
And he's there with the artillery forward observer. So we'll spend his 1 command to move him forward to this card, where he's basically now he's in control of the forward observer.
And all of them are under cover.
All of them are undercover, but this way we know who's exposed and who isn't.
Yep.
The other way to do it is you can do it like that.
Got it.
So that's now we got to do general. No, now we got to do general initiative. We could use.
Yeah, that was just that platoon leader.
Yeah,
Right?
and we could use a few here. 2.
2.
And I think we're going to spend those looking for cover. I think.
What about that guy?
Well, I think these 2 should look for cover is our priority
Okay.
because they're gonna trigger these contacts and they're probably gonna come under fire. Oh, actually, hang on. Wait. Before you draw those, we might want to do some spotting.
Some what?
Spotting. Right? None of these guys are spotted.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, as a start, we should try to spot these 2.
Probably. So instead of cover,
Yeah,
spot.
we're gonna take a chance with those, and instead we're gonna try to spot. So let's do this one, this open field first. and he'll try to
Okay.
spot the guy directly across from him. So he's drawn 2. Ah, okay. Draw 2 more for the other one.
Nada.
Okay. Should have saw it coming. Okay.
Should have not covered. Would it have worked?
No.
No. No.
We should have shot off some artillery, but we don't have anywhere to target it.
Yeah, it should.
All right, so now the enemy HQ. Let's see if their HQ does something. This is a little nerve-wracking because they have a lot of units on the board. And
They
we
do.
can't see any.
No enemy HQ.
All right, so now we're going to do the enemy activity check. So we haven't done this yet, so let's talk about how this works. So first things first, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units on the board, right?
Yep.
So first things first is we don't get to decide the order that we do this. So go ahead and draw 1 through a 5 to determine who goes first.
A 3.
So 1, 2, 3. So this guy is going to go first.
Okay.
So come down here, and I pulled this from the new one. So enemy defensive activity check. So and so you can see here it says defensive. The Germans in this scenario are defensive.
Yep.
Okay, and they're actually, if you you go up to the scenario real quick just to show you one other thing that matters here. Where does it say this? Oh, here it is. Mission details. So for the enemy, they're defensive and their tactics are deliberate.
Okay.
Right? So if you look at this, you've got defensive, and then over here on the right, we've got a column for deliberate.
Yeah.
So now we just go down until we have one that matches. So they're not on the same card as an opposing unit. They are not a heavy unit with an out of ammo marker. They're not under fire.
Yeah.
Oh wait, they're not under fire, but they do have a valid target along a PDF.
They do.
So what they are going to do, so in this case we don't even need to draw, they're either going to do a grenade attack or concentrate fire.
No, not under deliberate, right?
Yeah, auto.
Oh, or concentrate. Yep.
Yeah.
I see now, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we decide which one they do?
Well, normally you would draw a number, right? So if you look above it, if you look below it, you draw a 3, and on a 1 to a 2, they move into or seek cover, and on a 3, they do a grenade. Oh, I see what you're asking. How do we decide whether they do a grenade attack or concentrate fire?
They probably can't make a grenade attack.
They
so they're
can't.
gonna
Yeah, I don't.
concentrate.
So they.
I mean, that's what it says over here is
Yeah.
have the unit attempt to make a grenade attack if it is not concentrate fire.
Yeah.
So what does concentrate fire mean?
I'll show you in a
This is
second.
new.
So I'll just real quickly in terms of grenade attack. So units, squads can do grenade attacks at point blank range.
Yeah.
But then when you have units, I think we got one here,
Yeah,
like this,
grenade
like the
launcher.
weapons. So he can do grenade attacks at close range, which is 1 card.
Got it.
So he can't do a grenade attack, so he's going to attempt to concentrate fire. So he draws their line. So he draws, how many cards does he draw for this? So their line. So he's going to draw 2 cards.
And where did you see that?
Sorry, up in that mission details, it tells us that their experience is line.
Yep, I knew that. Yep.
Now, if we go down here to combat actions, C, attempt to have a platoon concentrate fire. So this is what he's going to do. Or actually, attempt to concentrate fire is B because he's a squad, not a platoon. So, and he has an S, A, AS, or H VOF rating. So I think he's got an A. So he's going to draw 2 cards and check for the crosshairs icon.
Okay.
So basically, you're going to draw 2 cards and check for the crosshairs icon.
Nope. And nope.
So he doesn't get it. So we'll save what it does for another moment, because there's a good chance a couple of these other guys are going to do this too. So now we draw. Now we've only got 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So a 2.
So we're gonna deal with this guy up here in the hedgerow. So he's the same thing, right? Because he's gonna end up being the same thing. He's not under fire and he has to be up. So he's gonna attempt to concentrate fire.
Yep. Nope.
He does.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the concentrate fire.
Yep. So over here, you'll see a little bag full of concentrate fire symbols. So we basically put one of these on here, and technically it actually goes on the cover, because you're either you're concentrating fire like on the cover.
Got it.
And it basically he's got a -1 now. Now, the nasty and unfortunate thing about concentrated fire markers is they stack. So essentially now,
so you can just keep getting tighter, more and more accurate and powerful.
well, it's not so much that this guy will do it, it's that this guy's going to do it. And so they're going to have 2 of them. All right, so
Is that what you're limited to in terms of that? You can only have concentrated fire up to the maximum number of units?
pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Because these go away at the end of the turn. They go away during
Oh, they
cleanup.
go away at the end of the turn. Got it.
They go away during cleanup. So here's
There
the
was
thing.
the missing piece.
We're gonna shortcut this a little bit because everybody's in this. Well, let's keep going until we draw this guy, because when we draw this guy,
So
things
we're doing a 3 now.
Yeah. So we're gonna do this guy now. So this guy actually, Okay, so he's gonna attempt to concentrate fire as well.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Because he has a leader with him, he's gonna draw 3 cards.
Okay.
That's in the in the rules under leaders.
Got it.
So he has a concentrate fire marker there. All right, so draw again on a 2 now. All right.
2.
So now it's this guy, which is going to be a different situation. So this guy,
Yeah.
for him, we go to enemy limited action team or pinned. So pinned on the same card as an opposing unit and not undercover. I think that pretty much describes him, doesn't it?
He's not undercover. Just making sure. I don't think he is. He is not.
Yeah. This is a question. I should probably look at this. I can't remember if things automatically appear undercover. I decided no, because so many of the entries in that chart say undercover. So I decided to just, when it told me to do it, but it's possible that that was wrong. All right, so, but let's just keep going.
Leader.
No leader. So on a 1 to 5, he does nothing. On a 2 to 5, he's going to move into cover. On a 3 to 5, he's going to attempt to rally. But that, it
So
doesn't.
just drawing a 5 here.
Draw on a 5.
A 2.
So he is going to seek cover. So he'll draw 2 cards and attempt to find cover.
So that would answer the question to me of, well, I guess maybe, yeah, if they just appear. He does not.
He does not. Okay, so then the last thing is the heavy machine gun here, who hasn't gone yet, is going to attempt to concentrate fire here. So he's drawn 2 cards to see if he can concentrate fire. He's drawing 3 cards.
He does?
Yeah.
He successfully concentrates.
All right. So while you do that, I will put that concentrate fire marker in. So now the board's gotten a lot crazier. But here's the good thing from our perspective. The fact that this guy didn't fall back, he didn't leave the card, has 2 like positive effects. One is that he's not getting into a position where now he's unpinned and he can start dropping artillery. The second thing is that it means that we stay heavily engaged, which means we're going to draw fewer cards for these 2 markers. So that's a good thing. Which is what I think we're doing next, because we don't have any capture aircraft, vehicles, no fire missions to update. So now we're going to update now we're going to check these potential contacts. So 1 or 2.
Oh, I hate it.
All right, so we're going to check this one. And heavily engaged, we're only drawing 3 cards. We could really use not finding anything, if I'm honest. All right.
Nada.
So that is good. This one would be almost more important because we're in an open field.
Same 3, right?
Same 3. Hopefully the same 3. Good on you. We got enough problems on the board. I think we deserve that. That's good. That's actually really, really, really helpful.
I mean, at this point, we've got those 2 rows cleared.
Yeah, so
right?
now all we have to do is capture these 2 cards.
All
basically.
we have to do. That's all.
Actually, we're doing okay. The problem we've got right now is we've got a lot of fire coming in.
Yep.
So
Which we're about to find out what that means.
yeah, so now we basically go and we have volume of fire here and here. I think those are the only 2 with volume of fire, right?
This guy's no longer being fired on by us, right?
No, he is. In fact, he's being fired on by his own
By his own people
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. So the automatic weapons is actually coming from here. That's the highest one on there.
Got it.
Because if it was us, no, we aren't pinned.
It'd be smaller.
We're about to be pinned, but we're not pinned yet. So we've only got this card and this card to resolve. So we'll go left to right. So -1 for the automatic weapons,
Yeah.
-1 for the crossfire,
Yeah.
-2 for these for concentrate fire, +1 for pinned, +1 for cover, +2 for the wood. So it's
Even.
0. We can start spotting these guys. We're gonna start taking some of our own back.
A hit.
Oh, that's okay.
That's a bummer.
Casualty. So we're gonna flip him over. And then down here where they have the limited action teams, they've also got a casualty marker. So we're gonna put the casualty marker here.
Okay.
Let's talk for a second about casualties real quick. Essentially, casualties are out of the game, right? They don't get fired on. They're just out of the game. So that's why I put them kind of up in this top right corner of the card. The only thing that casualties matter for are at the end of the scenario, depending on how many casualties we have, we get a certain number of like troops that we can add back into our squads as veterans.
Okay. And this is for campaign.
This is for campaign. Yeah, this is for campaign type things. The other thing is that we can get victory points if we can evacuate them.
Okay.
And the way we'll evacuate them, this one might be tough because it's dead in front of a bunker. But the way we do it is we'd set up like a collection point, and we could either set up a collection point in the card, or this would be a place where like if we could get somebody in the Jeep and have the Jeep drive up there, grab them and drive them back and kind of have a collection point down here.
Okay.
But I'm not sure we're going to get him collected because he got wounded in a bad spot.
Yep. All right.
So then we're over here. So we got 2 of them to resolve over here. So you want to do us first or him first?
Let's take him first.
All right. So he's got -1 for automatic fire. He's got -1 for crossfire. Those will cancel out the card. So he's got +1 for being pinned.
He's got +1.
Woo, we got a hit.
Got a hit.
At least we won't have to worry about artillery anymore after this, I don't think. So he's line. So he basically becomes a casualty.
Yeah.
We take that off.
He's a single unit, so he's.
Yep, he just becomes a casualty. So I'm going to grab this German casualty marker. This is cool.
And if there was a second step, the F would have been what the second step.
Exactly. If he'd had 2 steps, then there would also have been a fire.
Are there
team.
any that tackle all 3 steps, or is 2 the worst?
I think
case?
2. I think
No?
2's the worst case. I don't think I've ever
Okay.
seen one with 3, but I
Okay.
haven't
That's the
studied
same
it that
thing.
carefully.
All right.
All right, so we have the pretty much the same. Instead of being pinned, we have cover, but we have the -1 for concentrated
Oh, it's a
fire, so
zero.
we have a -1 because the volume of fire and the crossfire cancel out the card. Oh no, it is a 0. Sorry, you're right. My
Yeah,
bad.
I was
My
gonna
bad.
say it
Yeah.
should be one different than his. A
Miss. That's
Sweet.
awesome. All right. And with that, we, I think, are just cleaning up, right? And moving on.
So,
Hit that cleanup button. We'll move on to turn 5.
all the concentrated fires are disappearing.
There you go. See, yep. That I'm assuming that whoever built the module knows the rules, so
I'm hoping.
that was that they did that. But the crossfires don't go because that still exists.
That is the end of turn 4. Very much appreciate you coming back and watching the series. And we'll be back with turn 5 in the next video. In the meantime, if you're enjoying the series, it'd be great if you could like, subscribe, share, comment, do all those things that help the video get found on YouTube. And we'll see you in the next video.